I was in Higher One Ghana TV. Videos echo viral. Minister of Health, Honorable Kwabena Minta Akando, Akwa Tamale Teaching Hospital, and near digi. Oni omo enye easy kra, ni nyina ne se, obi efrimu, obi ewi e Tamale Teaching Hospital honum, ananka say emergency ward omo hwe no e ventilator sini so, nanso so omo hwe ya ama abrantie no efrimu. Abrantie no ye friend Salim Bavuk. Na Salim Bavuk omo che se omo koduru ho no na omo se bed ni ho. Nchemu a ye be kan e kire se nurse ni ba akokra ka kire ne busuafo se omo contact politician bi na politician no intimi frefre penifo se de be ya obenya bed adaso nyetimi ahwe ne yi a che se bed na ni ho no ye be se tie kra kire se na bed wo ho bed mienu bi a obi de nani ko hu ye se obi anaso kra ho a omo hwe ya ma abrantie ni wu ya a Tamale Teaching Hospital ho de ayeye se youth no stress penifo hwe ma Tamale Teaching Hospital one of the big hospitals wo ho no ma eboa ama ayaresa akoso nti omo hwe na eno Honorable Minister of Health Kwabena Minta Akando ehu ye eti ya obowura honum surprisingly one more kai ya obowura honum no more ko hu ye se omo aye ne basa na toilet facility kura ni nyina no yedwitwi won ho kan ni nyina no woni omo hamso a ekowie se omo be investigation chese investigation minim se de bisi akowie because omo dika chichirim se de esitie investigation no even utie youth ni bia ensem omo ka o social media ebi mu kire se kwa Minister ekoye omunhu faso bi e wo so because they know say problem e wo honye nanso so omo hwe ne ka nti omo nim emfaso a e wo so omo ma omo ba honom nti omo hwe no omo hwe ne ka na sabe to dwa se CEO of Tamale Teaching Hospital aban apam no na se aban se onko tena chen Dr. Adam Atiku onko tena chen ono na o video ni mu a o chechense mu a kire health minister no nanso akowie se yapam no afiri honom enu nti ora se du fita e chro sede osiko hu wo ho abrantie no admit no wo chese no oye close to him nti no okọ ayiye ene friend say oyare enu nti omo de ne ko TTH Tamale Teaching Hospital nti o return ye na okọ ye normal okoto wo ho no sebi ni bufuye e ma chese ne ye ne yadie ne si ho nyina nso so hospital no Tamale Teaching Hospital time eye health minister ekọ ye no omo chire mu se de si ye se nsema nkofo ka no enye no kure omo try omo best tinsema ora say du fita e troye in the line of the text no o chese around 2:30 that day, I was driving to the funeral of a late brother of mine when I received this heartening call from a son of mine informing me of one of my very close boys who was rushed to the Tamale Teaching Hospital and immediately taken to the emergency ward because his condition was severe and he needed urgent medical attention. So immediately, I had to change my route and head straight to the health facility to assist in any way possible. His condition was so dire that he needed to be put on a ventilator to aid with his ability to breathe, a procedure popularly known as intubation in the medical settings. The intubation with the use of the ventilator helps with the exchange of air in the lungs of a patient while allowing for him or her to conserve the little energy they may still have left. This is where I once again in my life exposed to the full glare of the negligence and disregard for human life by some medical professionals. Unfortunately, while the young man was admitted to the emergency ward and in desperate need of the ventilator, we were told that there was no functioning ventilator in the entire emergency ward and thus he needed to be transferred to the ICU, that is the internal care unit, as soon as possible. It was later I realized that he had been referred to the ICU for many hours before I got there. But the relatives who rushed him there were told that the beds at the ICU were full. The nurses at the emergency ward, specifically the red zone, insisted that the ICU medical staff must provide a space for the young man who was barely breathing and attend to him immediately. The friends who took him there waited for considerable amount of time, but no action was being taken and my young friend could hardly breathe. he lay there almost breathless, gasping and sweating profusely, as the medical staff at the emergency ward were trying their best with nothing to save the poor life. Immediately I arrived at the hospital, I asked to confirm from my ears as to the reason for the delay in moving the patient to the ICU, and was also informed that there was no empty bed for the patient there. Considering the circumstances, I personally rushed to the ICU into a room where I met almost 6 medical staff seated with 2 free beds in plain sight. Still keeping my calm, I asked them if they were informed about the young man in the emergency ward who needed to be attended to and put on ventilator as soon as possible. After a brief back and forth, one of the medical doctor followed me down to the location of the boy, made some brief assessment, and confirmed he really needed a ventilator urgently. He also added that the young man had to be intubated as quickly as possible to avoid the worst from happening. Therefore, the doctor said he needed to head back to the ICU and inform his team of nurses to come and move the late Bavuk to the ICU so the only anesthetist on duty could administer the procedure. Again, I was surprised that there was no ventilator in a ward referred to as an emergency ward, which received such equipment during the period of the COVID-19. I again was shocked that the whole ICU had to rely on only one anesthetist. We waited as the medical doctor went back to the ICU to now inform them of what was needed. This took another while, and every minute we watched this team delay and make excuses, the more I was filled with pain and anger. After getting an assurance from the ICU staff who followed me for the assessment that they would take action, then it dawned on me that I needed to attend the funeral of my late brother where I was initially headed, so I could return to the hospital later in the night to see my son smile again. God, I was just getting to the funeral grounds of my late elder brother while I received a call, only to inform that the young man had died. He was no more. This news broke my heart, and for a moment I reminisced the delay, disregard for health excuses, and the unacceptable conditions that delayed the urgent services this young man needed. He was denied because even the emergency ward of TTH had no ventilator. He was denied because the medical staff told him there was no empty bed for him, although there were. He was denied because there was either the absence of one basic thing or another, and time was wasted in trying to secure those things. He was denied because the medical staff and the hospital were not ready to provide emergency care for him. He was denied because of sheer negligence by Tamale Teaching Hospital. This should never be the case. This is completely shameful and deeply disappointing. According to Nash, it is also true. Time na brantie ni hia bed adaso no ye ka chen say onfre politician bi ansana onya bed and said ye wakọ emergency bed ni ho enti free obi said the be a nipa no be frefre and said the be a obenya bed adaso, which is nonsense. Enti asema eye Nash idi etwa say background to the current happening at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. When Salim, now late, was rushed to the Tamale Teaching Hospital, his family was informed that there were no available beds to accommodate his critical condition, leaving him lying down struggling for his life. A healthcare worker attempting to offer some assistance suggested that the family contact a prominent individual, preferably a politician, as their influence might facilitate a more favorable outcome. The family, however, was only able to reach the NDC communications officer for Tolong, who promptly arrived at the hospital. Unfortunately, despite his effort, the healthcare workers maintained that there was little they could do to salvage the situation, and Salim was ultimately left to die. This incident has prompted the youth of the region to demand change, emphasizing that an individual's access to the medical care should not be tied to their connection to politicians. Rest in peace, Salim. May your passing serve as a catalyst for lasting improvement in the operation efficiency of the Tamale Teaching Hospital. And after speculations, dissemination, and news around Tamale Teaching Hospital press release by HH and Semu said the normal city say a branch and I didn't know by a different hospital and a refer about Tamale Teaching Hospital. There's no man know here say a debate no it be need Tamale Teaching Hospital and no first point on Murezi. Na beda no here no say on the better so our intensive care unit ICU hono na bed no I fool say omuni bed bi na omde no beto so na no mo sere sempanifo ene omo aka enka makomanto omo ye investigation ni esie oho nyina na Tamale Teaching Hospital ne nimpanifo I already say ombema akomaboto yem aba na mo ahwese no kura da ho no omo de beto dwa eno na omo de beto ho no ma health minister etiye onabo kwabna iminta kando ebura Tamale Teaching Hospital ho eno ma osako hu ho no ene ma ne bufu ya mentim ho ase kakra ene oika na oya kakra chese na ne bofu pa otimse na onya twede kura obeto because na ye ne ya na ekowie se omo kama ne siye eche ama omo hu se omo ho no kra no omo bom hu modin kakra.
Don't want scandal. How long have you living a corridor doesn't have lights, right? Minister, look at the way you are behaving. Even proud like minister, can you tell me why you do the common man? You can imagine how you do the common man. And that's why then you do the questions here. That's what will create the problem. I mean, even with your superiors, look at how you are arguing. There's a problem. There's a problem here. So if a commoner comes here, can you imagine what you... How can somebody talk to this man here? How will he deal with it? How will he deal with it? There's a problem. You will have the patience, look at the manners, I've tolerated all these things. I mean, you don't do this. So what it means is that anybody who comes here will not have access to the washroom. That's what it means.
No, they will have to move to the one at Orange.
I'm saying that.
Yes.
You told me that there's one here and there's a staff. Yes. The staff also have one. And that's why you brought me here to come and see.
Yes.
Is that not the point?
Yes.
Meanwhile, it's not accessible to the patients.
No, it's only accessible when the tap's open. So that's the situation. So for a while now, water hasn't been flowing in there. And that's why I wanted you to see. You see that there are sachets. People enter there and they use sachet water and then just dump it there. And that's the situation.
At least, even if it is not being used, they can't clean the place and lock it.
There's no water.
No, you can clean the place.
There's no water to scrub the place.
You don't have water to do anything. You can't make arrangement for the tankers,
yes.
the tankers to bring water, and so you don't have that arrangement. Dr. T, you are telling me that you can't have water for this place to run this facility.
Let me vouch for my boss a little bit. This is Dr. Valentine. He's the HOD of the emergency. And one night we didn't have water at the emergency, and he himself got them to get the yellow barrels to come and bring water for the nurses to work. So at our level, sometimes my HOD does his best.
Yes, Doc, I agree. And I'm the first person to admit that there are challenges with respect to water in Tamale. But that's why you're a leader here, that's why you're a CEO here. Not until we resolve the issue completely. I've been on the committee for a very long time, and we have always been talking about this. And we think, we know that you have a way of providing water for the facility until we solve the issue permanently. And that is what we have been briefing us. We know that the Tamale water challenge goes beyond the facility. It's well known in the country and all that. But you cannot tell me that, because if you're not very careful, people come here and pick the diseases from here and go home. That's what it is. And you know, you're a medical doctor.
Yes, sir.
So they will come here because there's no water. The person is sick. He comes here and picks the disease and he goes home with the disease because there's no water.
So we have the 2 tankers.
Good.
I think the last week, they went the whole day, they were allowed to 4 trips. That 4 trips alone cannot dialyze take care of the dialysis unit for a day. Because when you open one dialysis machine, like you open a tap. So the 4 tankers a day is not enough. So when the water can, we prioritize. We have the public toilet that we have for patients. So if this one is locked, then they'll use the public one. It's outside, was built by GMPC. So maybe on the way we'll pass there. Only it's a bit far from here. But
I've come because of you, don't worry. Let's proceed.
Call was made. The 4 vents were in use. So there was no extra vents anywhere to put the patient on. So that was the issue that kind of caused the delay. But all the resuscitation was done here. We called the ICU and they said they didn't have any vent available for the intubation. And at that point, there's really little that you'll be able to do without the intubation. So the patient was being bagged here until the patient could.
So when the patient go here, how many minutes did they get you to assess the patient?
Oh, within 10 minutes, because usually when you score red, you are immediately brought to the red zone. There is no situation where you have to delay. You are pushed straight to red. So as soon as you are tried red, you are brought in red.
And then, when did you communicate with the ICU when they told you they didn't have any vent available?
No, I think immediately we identified that the patient needed to have been intubated. The ICU call was made.
And they said they didn't have any.
Yes, so there were no available beds.
So if somebody tells you that at the time they got to know that there was a patient like that, there was an available mobile vent, how will you take it as a man in charge here?
I mean, if there was an available mobile vent anytime, we would have used it. We take patients here all the time.
There's a bit of conflict between what you are telling us now and what they are also saying. So it is either an issue of lack of proper communication or there's a problem somewhere. Either it is an issue of proper communication or negligence or somebody's lying.
I mean, it's a straightforward case. Patient came, assessed, needed to be intubated. There is no vent at the emergency as we speak. There is no functional vent. So the next step is ICU. The call was made to the ICU.
And they said there was no.
They said there was no space. Okay. That was the communication we got.
They said what Dr. Yakubu was saying. So we have a mobile vent there, and then they spoke to the ICU. The time that they came down to assess and then planned to bring the mobile vents down, that was the time that the patient arrested. So he probably had a stroke in the same.
So from this, I do not want to go there. No, go ahead.
I didn't get the impression that Prof is now created for this narration up there.
But that's fine.
Why I made
Let's leave it there.
I made the point that it may be negligence because clearly,
That's fine.
If there was a mobile vent there, the ICU, maybe
If the communication was done at the right time and there was available mobile vent, let's leave it at that. So let's leave it at that.
How often do you get similar cases?
Occasionally that's happening. Yes, occasionally that's happening. I think the way forward is for us to have the vents available at the emergency. And then this wouldn't have even happened because we could have intubated the patient without needing
So I said what I'm going to say, I said it when I went up there at the ICU. You know, how you handle patients, even if the unfortunate happens, it gives them some kind of comfort. Okay, if the patient is brought, and you are looking for a certain quickly, and you've not gotten it. And then
not coming. But you see, if that communication wasn't done, whoever is making a case out of it wouldn't have even known. Because we make it a point, before we intubate the patient, the family must be informed that this is the next step that is needed. So there's no way somebody would have said that appropriate counseling wasn't done. Then how did we arrive at that point and we called the ICU? So that communication has been done. I don't know what's making the issue blow out of proportion, but there's no circumstances under which a patient will come, you need intubation. Intubation, you need consent before you intubate. So there's no way we wouldn't have communicated with the patient relief. That was done. And we try as much as possible to discuss the prognosis of patients with patient relatives the moment they come, especially for the red zone, which we all know is high dependency. But I think the solution to this is simple. If there were available ventilators here, then we would have intubated the patients, and then this issue wouldn't have even sprung up. That's what I think. Because we have the capacity to have intubated the patient.
Yeah, we all know the ideal situation, and we all know what must be done to solve the problem. But that doesn't mean that until we have the ideal situation, we should not be able to manage the situation. You understand? So that is why you are here. We don't have it here, but we have it at the ICU. The fact that we don't have it here doesn't mean that if there's an issue, your defense is that because we don't have it here, until we have it here.
No,
I mean, nobody.
It's not a defense.
So don't put up that posture.
No, it's not a defense.
Please.
I'm also trying.
Don't put up that posture.
Yes.
Don't put up that posture. I'm telling you something, and you are insisting and resisting. Huh? Please.
If we have to resolve the problem, we have to be honest.
I'm saying that I've told you.
Because I also stated that.
Even crown and minister, can you imagine what you do with the common person?
I'm trying to explain.
It means that you do first things here. And even with your superiors, look at how you are arguing. But there's a problem. There's a problem here. So if a commoner comes here, how can somebody talk to this man here? How will he be able to communicate? Student comes here, how will he deal with it? There's a problem. They are not working under the ideal situation. And we don't have the ideal situation. But what I must say is that irrespective of the conditions under which they are working, let us try as much as possible to give our best. Let us try to communicate well, have the patience to communicate well with our clients. Let us respect them. Let us value every life so that it will not be misconstrued, and I use this word advertisement, as though we don't value lives. I know you value lives. Do your best to save lives. Our health professionals must be approachable, must be tolerant, irrespective of the provocations under which you are working. I know there are situations that are quite disheartening where you feel that you can save one's life, but you are limited in saving the life. But when the people turn up at the various facilities, the relatives, the patients, they see you doing your best, even if at the end of the day they lose it, they understand that you have done your best. I would beg of everybody, all the health professionals in this country, let's do that. And again, there's one thing I don't understand, and I still not understand. Where government will provide equipment for health facilities in this country, the equipment are run when they develop faults. We are expecting government to either replace it or maintain it. There will be a new government policy directive where a special escrow account will be created for all our equipment, so that we use that particular fund to replace or to maintain our equipment. It will not be business as usual. It will never be business as usual. Again, as I was touring the facility, I saw a lot of defects. Cracks here, cracks there. At some point in time, even common cleaning is a problem. There are things we don't need much money to do. It is going to be government policy that a certain percentage of the internally generated funds at each health facilities must be invested in infrastructure in every health facility to maintain and to expand the facilities. My surprise visit coincidentally met the unfortunate demise of, what's the gentleman's name? What's the name? Salim. My condolences to the family. And I have inquired from the CEO and other health professionals here. We are setting up a 3-member committee. I'm told that the facility has already taken steps to investigate the matter, but unfortunately they cannot investigate themselves. And therefore I'm taking the matter up. I'm setting up a 3-member committee to look into the matter. Every life matters. Every life matters. So the committee will have 2 weeks to submit their report, determine the circumstances under which our brother Salim lost his life, and how we can prevent the reoccurrence of such a situation. And so we have the Deputy Regional Director, Ghana Health Service, Northern Region, as part of the committee. We have, who is a medical doctor, of course, and then we have another lecturer, Dr. Abdul Rahim Mohammed, who is a lecturer at DBS Medical School, and one private legal practitioner to look into the matter and report to me within 2 weeks. And so I thank you. We will do our best under the circumstances. It is quite disheartening to hear equipment such as MRI, CT scans have been down, have been faulty for the past 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. It has not been replaced, and they have also not been repaired. It's not a pleasant scene. We do our best, and we need everybody. Let me implore the good people of Tamale and its environment, continue to have faith in the health professionals in the region and in Tamale Teaching Hospital. Let's cooperate with them. Let's respect them so that they can also give up their best. I will also encourage all the opinion leaders within the catchment area to also show interest in the health facility. The facility is not for the health professionals working here. The facility is for all of us. So it is important that we all contribute to maintaining if not upgrade the facility. I thank you for the opportunity.
Abusua adwumapa on demand service for na say adwumapa on demand for say o pese wo di dwuma bia nkankanga fo am wabrochire a obehia nipa didi so ya tilers anasa building constructors fashion designers chese auto mechanic bia o pese wo di say dwuma bia ma no obekọ ye app no so na wa download adwumapa on demand service ayesa so obekọ www.adwumapa-on-demand-service eno so obekọ ko hu adwumadi e di nyina ni trimopo nyina ne se ye boawo ema wo kwakofo obi ana wodi dwuma bi a nipa a wo kwakofa no esansa wonnim na kira kwan bia nti no to bi kura nipa na gisika wie open here na hu no adwumapa on demand for aba ama sa ha nyina afiri ho esansa obi bia ya de be ma so woni dwuma bia ma no ya ye background checks ehu se se nipa yi onim ne wo ye enye kwanche trefa ni bia wonim de wo ye ene ye fa no edna ma wo na ni gisamba ko omu ne se onipa bia de be ma wo a odi be di dwuma bia no sabe background no sem anase si ebu afaso pa dia enya de besi na wanso san nim se sabe ko soja mumpo a ye wo military police ono so soja ni ochi soja ni eno me kire mu se eye adwumapa on demand for no ye san so supervisors a abre nyina no omko rounds eko check se adwuma na nipa no de bedan ye no sa pepepe ene ye no na se adwumapa on demand de omama adwuma no aye simple se bibi ni ena onte ase ampacho no afa numbers no aye gusuo no no afre